Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Gerry Turner comforted Joan Vassos in her dark times. Undoubtedly, if anyone understands the Golden Bachelorette process, it is Gerry Turner, who went through the same thing about a year ago. Understandably, it is difficult to go through dating multiple people at one time on camera. Furthermore, some emotions blindsided Joan Vassos during the first season of the show. When those trials crept up, who did she turn to? The Golden Bachelor, Gerry, of course. Although Joan Vassos has a soft heart, she has shown great strength through her past. When she accepted the honor of becoming the first Golden Bachelorette, she had no idea just how hard it would be for her. During the inaugural episode, she calmly receives each of the men as they arrive at the mansion. Undoubtedly, Joan and the men were nervous about the exciting journey ahead. But one by one, Joan met the guys and seemed to enjoy her time getting to know them. Notably, she was in their place when she was vying for Gerry Turner's attention. However, the preview for upcoming weeks shows that Joan's journey is riddled with raw emotions. Although she wants to move on, her heart is bound to her first husband and the love of her life, Joan Vassos. When times get dark for her, she enlists the comfort of an old friend. At the end of the first episode, the Golden Bachelorette fans got a sneak peek of what is to come. While Joan Vassos is falling apart with the unprocessed grief of Joan Vassos, she gets a surprise visit from Gerry Turner. As he steps out of the limo, he arrives just in time to comfort Joan after telling the men she doesn't know if she can keep moving forward with new relationships. Unfortunately, she was taken off guard by all the emotions that surfaced when she began to get to know the wonderful suitors. In many ways, she felt like she was cheating on Joan. Upon several of the gentlemen's entries, they mentioned how Joan Vassos' sentiment of feeling invisible had struck a chord with them. Unmistakably, with age and losing her Joan, she felt like she was blending into the background of life. But when she met Gerry Turner and took the adventurous leap of looking for love on TV, her heart revived. She said, "Gerry helped make me feel visible because he looked at me, and he cared about what I was saying. And he wanted to get to know me. But at that time, little did she know that Gerry would be comforting her when she was dating other men." Correspondingly, she had no idea she would be the new Golden Bachelorette either. Now that she has this opportunity, she wants to make each of the men know they are valid and seen. Much like her experience with Gerry, she wants to help them remember to enjoy life at any age. Ahead of the premiere, Joan Vassos says that Gerry Turner gave her some advice going in. She said, "He had done it most recently and had a more similar journey age-wise to mine." Taking away some of the best advice, she adds, "He said, don't invest in somebody too early." She recognizes that it is hard to know red flags when first meeting people. Instead, she has an elimination method. From experience, Gerry knows there's a lot of people there, and everybody deserves an equal chance. You don't know what's going to come of your original feelings for somebody. Additionally, he told her, let the story unfold with each and every person. Unmistakably, he knows it is important to savor the time. Further adding, date them like they're the only person there. Likewise, he recommended not wasting even a moment. It's a very, very fast journey, and make sure every conversation is important and you learn something about the person, because you're going to need all that knowledge to make the decisions in the end. Admittedly, Joan Vassos thought she was ready to find love, but it was difficult to let go of the life she had. She says, "Emotionally, I feel like I learned a lot that I didn't know, that I hadn't dealt with the passing of my husband." But talking with Gerry and the on-site psychiatrist, Joan started to understand it isn't trading the life she had, but instead adding to the value of the life she is still living. At that point, she knew she could hold on to all the beauty from loving Joan and share it with someone new at the same time. Joan says, "I'm realizing I don't have to mourn the rest of my life. I deserve to have a second chance at love. Potential for the future, it's the reason I'm here. It's the renewed hope." One of the guys, Dan, reminds her not to lose track of Joan, and several others help her navigate the process of keeping his love and adding a new person to her life. Although she had the unexpected setback of understanding her grief better, she rejoices in learning and helping others along the way. It was a rainy, overcast afternoon when Gerry Turner received a call that would change the course of his day. Joan Vassos, his dear friend and confidant, was going through a rough patch, and the weight of her struggles was evident in her voice. Despite her usual resilience and strong-willed demeanor, Joan was crumbling under the immense pressures life had thrown her way. Without hesitation, Gerry knew he had to be there for her. Joan and Gerry had known each other for years. They met at a community event years back, their connection forming over shared values, laughter, and stories of life's twists and turns. Over time, their bond had deepened. Joan was someone who prided herself on her independence. She had lived through challenges many could not fathom, yet she had always come out on the other side stronger. However, recent months had tested even her seemingly impenetrable resolve. A few weeks prior, Joan had lost her sister to a sudden illness. The shock of the loss was overwhelming. Her sister had been her closest family, the one person who truly understood her in ways even Joan herself sometimes couldn't comprehend. Now, the gaping hole left by her absence was too vast for Joan to ignore. On top of that, Joan's business, a small but beloved bakery in town, was facing financial difficulties. The combination of personal loss and professional setbacks was suffocating. As Gerry drove to Joan's house, he reflected on their many conversations. He admired Joan's ability to find beauty in small things, her tenacity to keep moving forward when everything seemed stacked against her. But today, he knew he'd need to be the one offering strength. When Gerry arrived, the gray skies matched the mood inside Joan's cozy yet somber home. She sat by the window, looking at the rain, a cup of tea in her hands, her eyes filled with a sadness that even she couldn't hide. She didn't hear him approach at first, lost in her thoughts. It wasn't until he gently touched her shoulder that she looked up, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of surprise and relief. "Gerry," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I didn't know if I should call. I didn't want to burden you." He shook his head, offering her a comforting smile. "Joan, you're never a burden. I'm here for you always." Joan took a deep breath, as if his words allowed her to exhale the weight she had been carrying. She motioned for him to sit beside her, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Sometimes words weren't necessary. Sometimes simply being there was enough. After a few moments of silence, Joan finally spoke, her voice breaking slightly. "I don't know how to do this, Gerry. I don't know how to keep going without her. And now, with everything going wrong with the bakery, I feel like I'm drowning." Gerry listened attentively, his heart aching for his friend. He knew Joan as someone who always had a plan, always had things under control. But right now, she was lost, and that was okay. It was okay to feel broken, to feel unsure of the path forward. "I can't even remember the last time I felt like myself," Joan continued, her voice laced with frustration. "I feel like I'm letting everyone down. My sister, my customers, even myself." Gerry reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "Joan, you've been through so much, and it's okay to not have all the answers right now. You're allowed to feel this way, but you're not alone. You have me, and so many others who care about you." Tears welled up in Joan's eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. She'd always been strong, always been the one to comfort others. Letting herself be vulnerable, even with Gerry, was difficult. "I don't know how to fix it all," she admitted quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Gerry leaned back, thoughtful. "You don't have to fix it all at once. One step at a time. Let's start with today. How about we focus on one thing, just one, and go from there?" Joan looked at him, her expression softening. "And what would that one thing be?" "How about we start with dinner? You haven't eaten, have you?" Joan laughed softly, a sound Gerry hadn't heard in what felt like forever. "You know me too well." He grinned. "That I do." Gerry headed to the kitchen, rummaging through the fridge and pantry, looking for something he could whip up. He wasn't a master chef by any means, but he knew his way around simple comfort food. Joan needed something warm, something that reminded her of home, of safety. As he prepared the meal, Joan watched in from the living room, her heart warming at the simple act of care. She hadn't realized just how much she needed this, someone to be there, to take care of her, even for just a little while. Over dinner, the mood lightened. They talked about memories of Joan's sister, sharing funny stories and the moments that had made them both laugh over the years.